Jonathan Kuminga started the last season with promises that reflected the brilliance of his potential. With averages of 15.3 points and 4.6 rebounds in 47 games, he managed to leave his mark when on the court. But it is precisely the number of games he played that started generating murmurs and suspicious looks among fans and NBA analysts. The young forward, one of the most ambitious projects in the Warriors' recent restructuring, was unavailable, or rather, not utilized, in more than a third of the season. Why? Since his arrival in the league, Kuminga has been seen as a bold gamble, a raw gem chosen 7th overall in the 2021 draft. He joined a team in search of historical continuity, a group led by a victorious generation that sought to renew itself without losing its competitiveness. The idea was sophisticated, almost utopian, to remain at the top while shaping the future. And Kuminga was one of the central pieces of that strategy. Still, 3 seasons have passed, and the story of the young Congolese remains filled with doubts. He shined at pivotal moments, yes. There were nights when his offensive impact was immediate, bringing energy and explosiveness to the team, either coming off the bench or even as a starter. But his sudden disappearance from the rotation at other times raises questions that have not been properly answered. On paper, his numbers are not bad, but in practice, the inconsistency in his efficiency and minutes on the court became concerning. And more than that, the lack of transparency regarding the reasons behind this irregularity makes it seem like something is being hidden, or at least poorly managed. Within an organization known for its excellence, the absence of detailed explanations about Kuminga's role leaves room for theories, assumptions, and even frustrations. What is hindering his progress? Could it be technical decisions, tactical preferences, or perhaps a communication failure between coaching staff and player? It is impossible to ignore the complexity of the Warriors' situation. The franchise is going through a subtle yet delicate transition period. The historical core has aged. The demands for results remain high. And in this middle ground between a glorious past and an uncertain future, players like Kuminga should be protagonists, not mere bystanders. The issue becomes even more pressing when considering the lack of official information. No clear statements about the player's status. No firm comments from Steve Kerr on the long-term development plan. Just a void. And when there is a void, silence screams. The fan, accustomed to the tactical and organizational excellence of a dynasty, begins to wonder whether there is, in fact, an internal conviction regarding Kuminga. Is he truly a vital part of the future, or just another talent that, for some reason, didn't fit? There is no shortage of tools for Kuminga to become a game-changer. His athletic ability is impressive. He has explosiveness, knows how to run in transition, is strong in physical battles, and possesses a defensive reading that can be honed to reach an elite level. However, the NBA demands more than physical attributes. It demands timing. It demands consistency. It demands tactical understanding and, above all, mutual trust between player and coach. And it is this trust that seems, at least outwardly, to be fragile. There have been no public conversations about a possible trade. No consolidated rumors, no known proposals in progress. Still, the way Kuminga has been managed this season might be the quiet prelude to something bigger. With only 47 games played in a regular season of 82 games, the discomfort is evident. And if the constant absence is not a sign of negligence, but of preservation, what if the team is intentionally avoiding exposing him as a way of keeping his value high in potential market discussions? These questions become even more relevant as the offseason approaches, a period when important decisions will be made. The Golden State roster already shows signs of physical and tactical wear. Stephen Curry still maintains an elite level, but no longer carries the same vigor as before. His time is running out. The legacy is written, but the present demands definitions. And among those definitions is the question, is Kuminga part of the solution or a trade asset? Draymond Green remains an emotional leader, but his minutes are decreasing. And with the departure of another team icon this season, the scenario calls for more urgency. What's at stake is not just a player, it's the future of the franchise. And every move, every choice, every name preserved or discarded could echo in the years to come. In this context, Kuminga stops being just a promise in development. He becomes a key piece on a chessboard where ambitions, rebuilds, and high-risk bets are being played. Now, pay close attention. The regular season may have ended for Kuminga, but what comes next could be even more decisive. While in San Francisco, Kuminga's fate is an unsolved equation, the most unexpected twist of the season was about to take shape nearly 3,000 kilometers away. In Milwaukee, the Bucks entered the playoffs with the confidence of a team carrying 2 stars in their prime and the hope of a second title with Giannis Antetokounmpo. But that hope was crushed with the coldness of devastating news. Damian Lillard had suffered a serious Achilles tendon injury. In an instant, what was one of the most explosive duos in the league transformed into a stalled project. Lillard was out, no timeline for his return, and with him, Milwaukee's real chances of remaining a dominant force disappeared. It was as if the foundation of a newly rebuilt castle had cracked. Silently, time froze. Giannis, a natural competitor, a connoisseur of excellence and victory, is once again surrounded by doubts. At 30, with a resume already worthy of the Hall of Fame, he knows that the best years of his career are counted in seasons, not decades. And if the scenario around him begins to look more like a rebuild than a title run, dissatisfaction is inevitable. For now, Giannis remains silent, but the signs, as always in the NBA, begin to emerge behind the scenes. Murmurs turn into discreet conversations. And some of those conversations start to point toward a surprising destination, a scenario in which the Greek from Milwaukee would find his next home alongside Stephen Curry. It may sound improbable. It may even seem too bold. But the scenario proposed by journalists like Logan Reardon from NBC makes sense, has structure, and above all, has consequences. The package, a total sacrifice of the present and the future. A trade that would include Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, the young Quinton Post, 3 unprotected first-round picks, and additional pick swaps in intermediate, even years. A bold plan, almost reckless, but with a clear objective: win now. And this is where everything begins to make sense. Kuminga, who seemed to be underused, could actually have been preserved, not out of insecurity, but out of strategy, not due to a lack of confidence, but out of caution, preserving his market value, avoiding injuries, and leaving his recent performance as a negotiating point. His potential, still not fully revealed, may be more valuable as a trade asset than as part of the Warriors' future. If this is the plan, and all signs suggest it's at least being considered, then the dilemma in San Francisco is even bigger than it seems, because giving up Kuminga, along with other important pieces, for Giannis Antetokounmpo represents more than a high-impact move. It represents an act of faith, faith in Curry, faith in the chemistry that once made him great with Durant, faith that Giannis can take over Draymond's role as defensive anchor and secondary creator, faith that time is still on the side of a team that has already flirted with the end but refuses to close the cycle. The intersection of these two dramas, Kuminga's gradual fade and Milwaukee's brutal downfall, creates a new narrative, one in which the two franchises, seemingly heading in opposite directions, might end up meeting at the same point: urgency. Milwaukee needs to decide whether to rebuild around Lillard, even with his uncertain recovery, or turn the page and focus on the long term, accumulating young talent and draft picks. Golden State, on the other hand, needs to define whether the future lies with the young homegrown players or if another star is the necessary path to keep alive what remains of its dynasty. And in this chess game of crossed interests, Kuminga is the most valuable pawn on the board. For the fans, everything still feels like a web of hypotheses. But in the NBA, reality moves quickly. An injury can change the course of a franchise. A trade can redefine the league. And an unexplained absence of minutes may, in fact, be the herald of a bold move. It is in this context that the Warriors prepare for Game 6 against the Rockets. On the court, the battle still rages, and each victory brings the team closer to the next phase of the playoffs. But far from the spotlight, in the offices and boardrooms, the real game is being played. A game where contracts, minutes, and silent decisions carry more weight than three-point shots. While the Warriors executives contemplate the future of the franchise behind the scenes, on the court, the players are facing another battle, one that is more immediate, more visceral. The series against the Houston Rockets, part of the Western Conference quarterfinals, highlighted something that cold statistics don't always reveal: how fragile and unstable the current version of Golden State is. Game 5 was a red alert. Playing in Houston, the Warriors were overwhelmed by a younger, more athletic team, and, perhaps most concerning, one that was hungrier. The Rockets put up 76 points on the scoreboard in just the first half. 3 of their players scored over 20 points. It was a clear message. There is no automatic respect for past glories. Every inch of advantage needs to be earned, and the Rockets came to steal the moment. On the other side of the court, Stephen Curry's expression said it all. The point guard, a genius and the team's undisputed leader, was struggling to maintain control, but something was wrong. After the game, cameras caught Curry with ice on his right thumb, and it didn't take long for the news to leak. An injury, potentially aggravated during the series, was affecting his performance, and it was exactly then that Dillon Brooks came into the picture. Known for his provocative style, his actions on the court quickly caught attention. Images showed Brooks seemingly targeting Curry's injured thumb. A slap here, a push there. Touches disguised as normal contact, but when repeated, they indicated a different intention. The game broadcast highlighted the plays with suspicious commentary. Outraged fans spread the footage on social media, and although coach Ime Udoka refused to comment, the message was already circulating. Brooks knew exactly what he was doing. When questioned about it, Dillon Brooks didn't back down. With his usual coldness, he said that he plays the game as it is, that he would target any opponent's weakness, just as he would expect them to do the same to him. A response that not only confirmed the strategy, but also laid bare the tension of the series. It was war. For the Warriors, the situation became more urgent. Not only were they fighting against an opponent that seemed to thrive on youth and irreverence, but now they also had to protect their greatest weapon, Steph Curry, from more than just tight defense. And with Curry limited, even though still brilliant, the questions could no longer be postponed. Who else could carry this team? Who, besides Curry, could step up in a decisive game? The answer, so far, has not been clear. Andrew Wiggins is still inconsistent. Chris Paul, although experienced, is no longer the same player. And Kuminga? When he could be most useful, he is absent, or playing limited minutes. Everything is connected. The absence of the forward in key moments of the season, the little time on the court during important games, and now the inability to count on him when the team needs him most. Whether it's a tactical decision or something bigger behind the scenes, Kuminga is not there when he should be an obvious presence. If he is being prepared for a trade, as is already speculated in the league's internal circles, then the coaching staff may have chosen to preserve his physical integrity at all costs. But if there is no trade in sight, if the Warriors truly believe in his long-term potential, then his absence amid the chaos is even more inexplicable. And all of this happens while Curry, even limited, once again carries the burden of hope. Game 6, which will take place in San Francisco, could seal the fate of the series. A win would take the Warriors to the conference semifinals, but any misstep, any new blow to Curry's thumb could mean elimination, and with it, the premature start of what could be the most critical offseason for the franchise in a decade. If they lose, the questions become urgent. If they win, they gain a few more days. But the dilemmas continue. In both scenarios, Kuminga is a symbol, either of what the Warriors are willing to give up or of what they refuse to acknowledge as a key piece. He is, at once, a promise and a question mark. And this paradox needs to be resolved, because, as time runs out, other teams aren't waiting, and Milwaukee, for example, is listening to offers. The NBA landscape is constantly evolving, and one of the moves that has generated a lot of speculation is the potential arrival of Kai Sotto to the Golden State Warriors for the 2025 season. This rumor has been gaining momentum recently, with reports indicating that the team is in discreet negotiations to secure the signing of the Filipino center, who has been making a name for himself in international leagues. If this transaction goes through, it would not only change the game on the court, but also have a massive impact off the court, especially within the Filipino community, which already feels represented by Sotto in many parts of the world. Standing at 2.18 meters tall, Kai Sotto stands out as an imposing presence on the court, but his influence goes beyond his height. He is a complete athlete, whose skills make him one of the most exciting prospects in the NBA. His combination of height, wingspan, and technical abilities is rare. As a defender, Sotto is an effective shot blocker, using his excellent reaction time and long wingspan to protect the rim. But it's not just his defense that catches attention. His offensive ability, especially his mid-range shooting, sets him apart from many other centers in the league. His versatility on offense makes him a key asset for teams that prioritize modern basketball, which demands diverse skills from its players. Kai Sotto's development didn't happen overnight. Born in the Philippines, a country where basketball is almost a religion, he quickly drew attention due to his natural talent and, most importantly, his dedication. His journey as a player began early, but to reach an international level, he had to venture outside his homeland. This led him to play in the National Basketball League, NBL, in Australia, where he faced a much higher level of competition. His ability to stand out in such a competitive setting solidified him as a cornerstone player for his teams, both offensively and defensively. Kai not only proved his worth but also became an icon of Filipino basketball, showcasing the potential of the nation on the global stage. Kai Sotto's journey continued when he moved to the B-League in Japan. There, he had the chance to further develop, facing top-tier opponents while taking the name of the Philippines to new heights. His adaptation to international basketball was remarkable, and his skills as a defender and his ability to represent Filipino culture made him one of the most admired players in the league. Now, with the possibility of joining the NBA, Sotto feels ready to take on the greatest challenge of his career so far, and the team that might help him in this process is the Golden State Warriors, a franchise known for its fast and dynamic style of play. But beyond being an innovative team, the Warriors also have a clear need in their roster: the lack of a dominant presence in the paint. This has been a deficiency that, while the team has overcome it in many seasons with its fast-paced play and three-point shooting, remains an area that could be strengthened. And this is exactly where Kai Sotto fits in. If signed, Kai's impact on the Warriors would be immediate. His ability to grab rebounds, both defensively and offensively, would provide a significant advantage to the team, especially during fast breaks, which are a hallmark of the Warriors' playing style. Additionally, his ability to protect the rim would be a valuable addition to the team's defense. In moments when the team needs a strong presence in the paint, Sotto could be the player capable of making a difference. The Warriors' offense would also benefit from his presence. His ability to shoot mid-range would open up more space for perimeter players, allowing the Golden State team to further explore its fast-paced plays and three-point shooting. Sotto's offensive flexibility is something the Warriors need to continue innovating and remain one of the top forces in the NBA. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Hit the bell to get the latest news firsthand. Thank you for watching and see you next time.